I am still getting over this last 10 days. Holy mackerel. So much amazing things going on. And we have this morning or this afternoon, whatever time this is, from Ashok Swami. He says, this is about the model, the version 12.3. He says, look, handling many real world situations like construction requires understanding and reasoning about the scene semantically and not just geometrically. Did you get that? It's got to understand that scene semantically, not just being able to point out everything. It's got to understand it. It's got to reason it through. It's got to have real understanding. That is why self-driving is an intelligence problem and not a sensor problem. It doesn't need LiDAR or radar, etc. Let that sink in. Okay, then we got Charles Qui. I'm guessing it's going to be Qui, QI. And he is now available on X as Charles _ RQI. He says here, career update. Today, I bid farewell to Waymo, marking the end of a chapter in my career. Joining Waymo in late 2019, I entered a world where level 4 robotaxi services were a concept rather than a reality. I'm sincerely thankful for the opportunities that Waymo provided me. I was fortunate to be able to learn and grow in many different roles, from an IC researcher to a tech lead, then a research manager, and then finally as an engineering manager. Next chapter, he says, new chapter. All right. I will be joining the Tesla autopilot team to work on FSD. While this move may come as a surprise to some, it has been a carefully considered decision. Back in 2019, when I was choosing my first full-time job, Tesla was one of my top choices alongside Waymo. I was even fortunate enough to be interviewed by Elon and got his offer. Although I initially chose Waymo, my interest in Tesla has remained strong. I became a Tesla Model 3 owner and have kept a close eye on the team since then. I believe there are multiple paths to achieving level 4 autonomy. Diversity in approaches is not just beneficial, but essential for innovation and progress. And then he quotes Andrej Karpathy as a closing remark from our email exchange in 2019 regarding my decision between Tesla and Waymo. He says, at the end of this is from Andrej, at the end of the day, we're still building towards the same goal, and the future can't come soon enough. This is Randy Kirk, and if you would do me the big favor, you've already done me a major favor just by watching the video, but if you could hit the like button, and then if you could hit the subscribe and the notify button, because of course, we've got really cool stuff coming up. We've got tomorrow morning, I'm going to take a look at Cathie Wood's newsletter, where she really encapsulate her group, she and her group really encapsulate what the future is going to look like. I keep talking about the wealth building. Well, Cathie is way beyond me in terms of the amount of time, energy, and effort they put into looking at how wealth will be built in the next decade. And our numbers are just astounding. But anyway, that'll be tomorrow morning. Of course, as always, on Sunday night, we'll have our program called Monday Morning. If you've been missing that one, not many of you have been missing that one because it's really, really well attended. But if you've been missing it, that's where we do something nobody else does. I mean, really, 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 nobody else does this. We look at all the reports that are coming out the next week, any major earnings reports that are coming, any major news that we're expecting to break in that week. And then what we do is we put that all together. We put it into a big package. The package includes how it's going to impact the economy, how it's going to impact the stock market in general, how it's going to impact Tesla as a company, fundamentally and foundationally, and then finally, how does it potentially going to affect the Tesla stock? Now, can you get that anywhere else? Not a chance, which is why Sunday night usually has such high viewership. You're just not going to see anything like that from anybody else. Now, am I always going to get it right? Well, I hope that the analysis is always right. Now, it may differ from yours. You could have one set of analysis, and I could have another set of analysis looking at exactly the same set of data. They say about economists that, if you put 5 economists in a room and you ask a question, you'll get 6 opinions. So yeah, we can differ, but let me know when you think my analysis is actually not, how can I say this? Not wise or not even based in reality or something. Well, I know you think I'm sometimes way off. into the space, in terms of my optimism, that's yet another thing. You can be optimistic or pessimistic or realistic or whatever you want to call yourself, but does the analysis make sense? I guess that's my question. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Speaking of analysis, there's a really big discussion on X right now, and it originated with AJ. Yeah, AJ's putting out he's like Cern out there putting out all these charts and graphs and stuff, but he does them all on X. He wonders why the Tesla community bothers itself with the specifics of the Cybertruck ramp, the battery chemistries, the timing on the Shanghai mega factory opening and all that kind of stuff. He says it's really going to be kind of irrelevant as soon as FSD is complete. Now, he's quoting Elon. He may not even know it because I think he's relatively new to the scene. I should look back and see what his history is. But I think AJ's fairly new to the scene. Elon said a couple, 17, 18 months ago, I'm not sure. Anyway, Elon said, look, once we have robotaxis, the rest of the company is going to be irrelevant. Basically, and the stock market went down the next day, or the Tesla stock went down because he said that. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be the rest of the company will be very small. And then AJ could have gone on to say the day that the robots start actually shipping and the revenue stream starts on robots, then full self-driving and robotaxi will become irrelevant if you want to talk about it in terms of raw income, raw dollars of revenue, raw total bottom line and stock valuation. All right. But here are some of the reasons why he ain't wrong. Number one, the profits from sales or subscriptions to FSD will increase dramatically as way more people decide to be part of the FSD system. They'll want to get it. They've got the car. They're going to want the FSD. Now, they might just pay the $200 a month. And my guess is that Tesla will play around with different kinds of formulations in order to maximize the number of people that come on board. And then this will happen for personal use reasons, but it's also going to happen because a lot of folks are going to be like, okay, now I'm ready to try to get to be part of that gravy train when the Robotaxi comes out. Then car sales are going to increase. We'll get back to selling every car that Tesla can make. It's going to get back to that situation because the value proposition will be much greater. There'll be a much bigger reason to buy a Tesla compared to any other car when that thing is working 100%. And there will undoubtedly be, people who want the robotaxi income. So that'll be another reason for them to buy. There will undoubtedly be other OEMs who, once they see it is complete and really works, they'll have no choice but to come in and ask for a license. They really will have no choice. And then robotaxi will only be a few weeks or months from starting up. And the FOMO will be huge when the street decides that it's a reality. Watch out. And that's, of course, what AJ was just talking about. Now, if FSD works for cars, it will only be a matter of time before it works for humanoids. And of course, I'm already thinking that that's a done deal anyway, even without fully operational FSD. I think robots could be ready to go before FSD, but now, I don't know, with 12.3, the race might be closer again. And of course, not to mention FSD being used in trucks, not mentioning FSD being used in anything that moves, as was said last week by, I think it was at the NVIDIA conference. Anyway, Jensen, I think, said that. Anyway, where do I think isn't right, though? I don't think he's 100% right on this. I think, number one, for most of us, there is more to the story than just the stock benefits. Many of us, number two, are very interested in the tech, the science, the achievements, and the story, right? We want to see what's going to happen with the tech. We're interested in the science underlying the tech. We're really excited about the achievements. And the story is fascinating. Number three, more of us are interested in the mission. Yeah, a lot of us, that's what it's really about. That's what got us interested in the first point. The first part is the mission, and the mission is amazing. The future, the potential for a very different kind of world that's coming out of all these things that are happening at Tesla and the other Elon Musk companies. Then there's a potential, so therefore, I suppose that's how I should have started that sentence. A potential $400 billion energy storage business is still important. A $500 billion auto business is still exciting with the new unboxed method and the trajectory of Cybertruck. And then there's the semi-truck, and it goes on and on. And then number, what is this, 5? There's so much to still think about with Elon's other projects like Dojo and HVAC, and who knows what else he's thinking up right now that may come later. Anyway, thanks for all you do, AJ, but there is more to this story than just the money. Well, speaking of AJ, he also just put out his very elaborate prediction spreadsheet for Tesla, giving his unit volume for Q1. He is now predicting at under 420,000. And by the way, I can say now, because I think a week has passed, or darn near a week, is that Troy Teslike is also at this point under 420,000. Now, if that is the number, or even worse than under 420,000, like 410,000 or 405,000, prepare for a rocky April 2nd. Yeah, you may choose to ride it out. You may choose to sell off something. I don't know what you'll choose to do, but it could be rocky if we come in at 417, like AJ is suggesting. All right, well, I want to talk to you again about inflation. I'm going to just keep trusting Trueflation. I think you've probably heard they've invited me to come on the Spaces. I think it is on April 14th. That could be wrong. I'll try to remember to put that up someplace where I can keep it handy. Anyway, going to be on Spaces with them as their honored, they said, as their honored guest. It's been a while since I've been anybody's honored guest. Anyway, I'll be there to talk about my complaints about Trueflation. You know what my complaints are. You may not know all of them, but you know a few of them. Anyway, they are now showing inflation at 2.32%. That is up from their revised 1.99. So in their revised analysis, the lowest they ever got was 1.99. Now, you and I both know it was down at 1.36, but they revised it up to where the lowest it ever was 1.99. So with the revised version, we're still up significantly from 1.99 to 2.32. Now, I want to just quickly go down the list of the things that were really impacted. Food at home up from a negative 0.5 to a positive 1.5%, and going kind of like this. Rents are around 2%, which remember, that was showing at 0 with owned homes over 5%, but then we knew that, right? Lodging is a negative 5%, not based on the hotels I've been looking at to stay in on my upcoming trip. Food away from home is up from 1.7 to now 4.7%. And the prices of the food away from home were already crazy, but I guess people are just grinning and bearing it. Man, gasoline went from a negative 10% to a negative 1.77% and headed straight up to where I'm sure it's going to be in positive territory shortly. Vehicle purchases really got hammered, negative 6%. I mean, negative 6%. So that's one thing that's keeping things down, believe it or not, is automobile prices. Natural gas for utilities went from a negative 15% to only a negative 3%. You see, all these things that are changing from a negative 15 to a negative 3, that's inflationary. It's still theoretically deflationary because it's under 0, but it is changing the whole, the total dynamic of the total inflation number to a more likely to be positive number or higher positive number. Anyway, alcohol and tobacco fallen from 7% to 2.5. That's good, but alcohol has fallen way more than tobacco, which is still around 4.5%. Clothing and footwear continued down. They were up about 5%, and they are now down to a negative 0.5%. Recreation and culture has also fallen from 5% to around 2%. And then finally, personal care items, they're down, but they're still up around 4%. Okay, now I am going to make a very bold statement, and I'm looking for your comments. I mean, I want your comments all the time. Everything that we just talked about, I want your comments. But I'm going to make this bold statement, and I want your comments specifically about this. Can we get lots and lots of comments? Everyone is lying to you about AI and robots. They're lying to you. Everyone. Everyone. Headline after headline says, these products are not coming after your job. AI is not coming after your job. Humanoid robots are not coming after your job. That's just nuts. Their claim is that there's a shortage of humans and that the automation will fill that shortage over and over again. You see that subheadline. Or you see that as part of the headline. Oh, yes, because we're so short of employees. Don't worry, no sweat. These robots are just coming along to fill in that massive shortage. Well, that shortage is going away rapidly, and that shortage doesn't exist in India. It doesn't exist in parts of China right now. It doesn't exist in Europe. It's already in recession. It doesn't exist in Japan, which is at almost recessionary levels, even though their population is dropping like a rock. They're in right on the edge of recession. So I don't think they have a big job shortage, although they might be closer to having a job shortage. Anyway, now listen, there's a part of this that's true. Okay, if you bring these bots in and they speed up the production of an employee, that employee might keep their job, but where they used to make 100 widgets a day, now they make 200 widgets a day. That's great. He doesn't lose his job. But down the street at the competitor, the buyer or the guy in charge of automation who didn't also automate to get their numbers up and get their costs down, he lost his job because of that mistake. And then the employee who was making 100 widgets a day, he's not making any anymore because the other company took that 100 away. So yeah, they're coming for your job. So I'm just going, I'm calling it hogwash. No owner is buying any automation unless it saves him more than the investment to put the automation in. And that is going to be proven in terms of fewer hours worked by human labor as a percentage. Just take a look at the charts that Cern Basher put out about 4 weeks ago, showing what's happening at Walmart. That was Walmart. I think it was Amazon. At Amazon, where they used to have like 5% robots, and now they have like 95% robots. It's like 50-50. In other words, it's half of their staff is now robots. Almost half their staff those kinds of jobs is robots now. Anyway, yes, all those things, those headlines are just ridiculous, and so never mind. Okay, but I'd like to hear what you think about that. That would be useful to hear what you think. But what will happen for sure? More wealth. We've seen it happen for the last 150 years, where the economy has been increasing at the rate worldwide of between 1.5% and 3%. And in particular, you've seen it now in some of the developing countries where their rates, South Korea, Singapore, China, over the last 70 years, 60 years, their numbers have just been crazy. And they've gone from, South Korea, Singapore, and Seoul and Tokyo, well, most of Japan, were basically bombed out, zero, nothing. There was nothing there in the 50s. Really nothing in any one of those three places. And now those three places are some of the most productive, some of the most clean, some of the nicest places that you're ever going to want to visit. Modern with all the latest tech. And 70 years ago, they were nowhere. So there will probably actually be more jobs. I've made that analysis multiple times on this channel because we've seen it so many times before where something is automated out of existence, like secretaries, and there's more jobs. Okay, we're sitting here as automated as we've ever been, and we have, as was pointed out, a job shortage in the US. All right, let me say it again. Cern Basher, his totally fun and useful approach through all kinds of charts and such. He was on this morning. Check that card out, and then and then Larry Goldberg got his Cybertruck. He got his own Cybertruck, and I put that video up just about 3 hours ago. Go check that out. Both cards are going to be up there, probably in the wrong order. I never know what order they're going to be in. All right, tomorrow morning I'll be bringing you the Cathie Wood thing, and then tomorrow night, of course, is Monday morning. Might do something in the middle of the day. Depends on what strikes me. But right now I have no plans for something in the middle of the day. So that's all I got right now. It's been great, as always, talking to you.